I'm publishing one video for every day in July. So this is the fourth video on July 4th. Happy birthday, America. And the theme of this video is that when you're picking up a book to read it or just to inspect it, one of the first things you should do is open the front and see which year it was published. And this gives you a ton of information, and most people completely forego it. Books are products of their time and place, and it's important to know when they were written so you know all of the background assumptions that the book has, and it helps you know what you can and can't take away from the book. There are tons of examples of why this is important, but I'll give one example I think people might be familiar with. Jane Jacobs wrote a book called The Death and Life of Great American Cities, which I have in my hand here. It was published in 1961. What's consequential about that? Well, if you know anything about New York City's history, you'll know that in 1989, the US Supreme Court struck down the legality of our central governing body called the Board of Estimate, and we have not had it since 1989. But this book was published in 1961. So as far as it knows, we still have a Board of Estimate. And it even comes up in the book. In chapter 21, Governing and Planning Districts, I'll just read the first paragraph and a half. A public hearing in a big city is apt to be a curious affair, simultaneously discouraging and heartening. The ones I know best are held in New York City's City Hall alternate Thursdays on measures that require decision by the city's chief governing body, the Board of Estimate. The subjects have appeared on the day's hearing calendar by prior pushing, pulling, and contriving on the part of somebody either in government or out. Citizens who wish to speak their minds address the mayor, the 5 borough presidents, the comptroller, and the president of the city council, who sit behind a raised semicircular bench at one end of a large and handsome room filled with high-backed white pews for the public. So the Board of Estimate doesn't exist anymore, and one of the officers of the city that she mentions, the president of the city council, that also does not exist anymore. It was converted into a different office that's now called the public advocate. So all this to say, a lot of people will read a book like Death and Life or The Power Broker, and they think they are coming to understand a certain amount about New York City's government and law. And they are, but also a lot of them are tricking themselves because, again, they're listening to narrators who don't know that our government has changed, because The Power Broker was published in the 70s. So it also still thinks that there's a Board of Estimate, among other things. So knowing what year your book was published is highly consequential. It's great context for going into the book first thing because you know what it knows and what it doesn't. You know the cutoff point of its training data, so to speak.